Today, I'm going to be showing you guys how to brighten up your dark crawl space for a little less than $100. I got these string lights off of Amazon. They're suitable for damp locations. They come with a plug. They have 50-foot and 100-foot lengths. There are two types that I saw on Amazon. They have this type, which you can just simply screw and unscrew a bulb. They each have the little mounting hole. I like these better than the alternate version, which is just an LED, because lights do go bad, and if the LED version goes out, you can't really change it, you're out of luck. So luckily with these, you can just change the bulb. Like I said, suitable for damp locations. I am going to wrap masking tape around these when I bring them on at my house and string them out, just to keep dirt and dust from getting inside of it. It's got the hole. I'm going to use zip ties. I'm going to put a screw here in my floor joist, and then just run a zip tie through that hole to hold that up, and then I'm going to use staples, wire staples, to actually secure the wire in place. I am going to have to run a receptacle. There's a light switch under there with one light on it, and I'm going to actually run a receptacle to that so that when you flip the switch on and off, it will turn the lights on and off. The reason I'm doing that is because if I ever have like a termite inspector or somebody working on my air conditioning, they don't have to look around for a plug and doing all that. They can just flip the switch and be done. Let's get into it, guys. First thing I'm going to do is stretch out the lights and get them straight out under the house to get the light placement correct, so there's no air conditioner ducts or anything like that in the way. I went ahead and ran the receptacle right there, and I connected it to this light that was already here, this wired to a switch over there. So when you flip the switch, this receptacle will have power. As you can see, the little yellow cord coming from my string lights, I'm going to plug into it. And you can see across there straight, and then I hang a right. I have my lights, and they go all the way over there. And I do want to mention, it's a heck of a lot darker than this camera looks. This camera's going into like low light mode, and I can see more on the actual camera screen than I can in person, so that's pretty cool, but it makes it look like this is pointless. So I assure you, it's darker than it actually looks. Next thing to do is get this plugged up. I'm going to use the staples to secure all the wire. Then I'm going to use the zip ties on the lights. I think there's 10 lights, so I'm going to have 10 zip ties mounted. I'll show you guys the end result once I get finished up with that. Before, after. Those lights make a huge difference. I think it was definitely worth 80 bucks. I know I've got maybe, I would say 90 in it with the receptacle and the box and the extra little piece of wire. Definitely worth it because a good flashlight's $30 or $40 nowadays. And now all I have to do is come down here and flip a switch. I don't have to crawl around with a flashlight anymore. And it kind of gives me a peace of mind. I don't have to worry about snakes or anything like that. Never had one under here, but I'll be able to see it way before I get to it now. It'll make it a lot easier as far as inspecting everything for termites and doing maintenance on my air handler. I'll go and show you how I mounted some of the lights so you guys get an idea. Again, I used the zip ties and the cable staples, but I'll show you up close all the tools that I ended up using. Here's how I mounted all of the lights. I used a staple on one side, staple on the other, and what that does is kind of just hold it straight. I don't have these terribly tight. You don't want to get these so tight you pinch the wires because that creates a hot point, and that can be not good if it gets too hot. The way I mounted these lights, you can see it's molded with the little ring in the top, as you saw before when I showed you the lights. I used the zip tie. I ran a screw through it, maybe a 1/4 of an inch up the stud, just enough room so that I could run the zip tie back through and actually get it to work. And that's pretty much how I did all of these things. This little cage came with the lights. They literally just clip in, and there's a little latch here at the top that locks them in place. It's really cool because you guys saw I already had one light down here, and this kit only came with 10 lights, or light sockets I should say. It came with 11 bulbs, which is really cool, so I was able to put a matching light bulb in the fixture down there. Here's a view from the other corner to give you an idea. I was over there a while ago. I ran the lights about 5 feet from that side, came up about 10 feet, through the center of these two supports. Ran it here, went about another 5 feet away from that wall, then ran it up the center with the rest of the lights that I had. And like I said, they're 100 feet long, so you'll have to do the measuring and figure out how you need to run yours. This is just an idea of how I did mine, and it works great. As you can see, there's not really any dark spots anywhere under here, which is awesome because I don't really need a light anymore. So here's the tools that I used. Obviously it was dark in here, so I needed a light to begin with so I could see what was going on. Have a hammer here for the staples and for the box when I mounted the receptacle. I used just a driver with a pack of bits for my square, my Phillips, and my straight bit when I was putting the receptacle in. I used a tape measure because I thought my OCD was going to take over and I was going to have everything perfect, but that quickly ended when I couldn't get everything exactly where I wanted it to be because of the random duct work and pipes and all that. So I just got everything as close as I could to where it looked good and was pretty functional. I had to really think about where the light was going to be going, you know, when putting in certain areas because there was a lot of ducts, say over there for example, so I kind of put the lights in the middle of that. Hope that makes sense. Here's the staples that I used. It's for Romex. They work great for this extension cord type wire. Screws that I use for the zip ties, number 6 by 1 inch. I use these little side cutters to cut the zip ties off flush. Use the masking tape to tape up the light fixtures in the end of the cord to make sure everything was nice and clean because you don't want any junk in there between your light and the fixture. Needle nose pliers, wire strippers, and this knife. That was for installing the receptacle. These are the zip ties I used. I got these at Walmart. If you use these, or if you ever get zip ties, always get black because they're UV resistant. And the white ones are, they kind of get brittle over time in the sunlight. And there's not much sunlight coming in here, but there is some. And I just had a scrap piece of wire that I ran from here over to the receptacle. I think that covers everything. I'm pretty sure it does. I'll link in the description some of these tools if you're interested in what they are. I'll link the lights in the description. Remember, the ones that I got, you can actually replace the bulbs in, which is nice because if one burns out, you can easily replace it versus you're just out of luck. But I hope you guys got something out of this. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. Hope you saved some money. I'll see you guys in the next one. Just realized that I forgot to mention this drill. These things are really cool. They're gyroscopic, so if you press the button, see it's not really moving, but if you turn it right, it works right. If you turn it left, it goes left. Another cool thing is you can press that button right there, and it actually goes straight. I don't really use that feature much, but it's nice to have when you do need it, if you're limited on space, or if you got something long going on. You don't necessarily need this. You can get by with that, but this makes it a lot faster, especially when you're doing the receptacle or putting these screws in. Because doing that by hand probably would have added like a solid hour. Anyways, guys, this is the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one.